How's it going, folks? This is Steve. We are here today with Race Day once more, and today it is the beginning, the intro, the season debut, the series debut for the IMSA experience for the ASRA. And right now we are here from Daytona International Speedway for the world famous 2.5 mile track, but this time on the infield for the road course. And I'm alongside Frankie Barroso. How's it going, man?
Man, I'm having a good time. We got about 15, 16 sports cars ready to take on the World Center of Racing.
Yes, sir. Cannot wait to get this thing going as usual. Man, this is going to be a fun time. This is a brand new series, folks, for ASRA. If you were here last night, you would know that we did the Harpoon Design Cup Series, and today, starting off brand new series with the IMSA experience. Going to be a lot of fun. This series is going to grow and grow as we get going here. Brand new, obviously, and going to be a lot of fun. So, a lot of fun today. Frankie's going to be our race control today as well, so he's kind of pulling double duty, Frankie. Going to be in the booth with me for a little bit, kind of here and there, and he'll deal with, black flags and penalties and all kinds of fun stuff if that were to happen as the race goes. So, big thanks to you folks for being out there watching live and hitting that like button, subscribe button. Right now, we're in the middle of qualifying. It's 15 minutes of open qualifying, so they'll have 15 minutes to try and set their fastest lap, and that will decide the starting grid for today's race. So let's get down trackside, take a look at what's going on the track. Right now, all kinds of guys right here. Devin Lucan right here in the number 06 in that GTP. Really, really cool stuff. So Frankie, I mean, this is kind of a new world for us, right? I mean, you and I have been in, the road racing world, quite a bit, more so on the GT3 side, with the endurance races and, and things like that. But, these guys, this is a whole new territory, for the ASRA, also us really as a YouTube channel too, because we haven't covered road racing before. So kind of new territory, but it's a lot of fun, these cars.
Yeah, these cars are definitely, they're definitely interesting. They're a lot different than what you see normally on Sundays in NASCAR and what we do on Tuesdays. So, in these cars, there's a variety of different cars. Like you've got Porsches, you've got Mustangs, you've even got BMWs. Like there's a whole variety of different kinds of cars, different strengths, different weaknesses, different driving styles even. And then to throw it on top, we have our GTPs, the prototypes. Man, they're so much faster than the GTPs, the GTDs, excuse me. And it's going to be interesting. The one thing, especially with the GTP battle, is how will traffic play into it? Because we have a lot more GT cars than we do prototypes. And normally, as you are coming up onto lap traffic, how you place your car, where you pass, what decisions you make, it intensifies when you're, let's say, battling for a lead or battling for position.
You're right, and things are a lot different around here, right? So these races are only 60 minutes apiece. So, if you're from the, the endurance world, 60 minutes, Frankie, I mean, that might be a stint, right? Right? So it's like, these really are pretty quick races, very sprint-like in nature. And, you still have to get that, that green flag racing going on. You still have to, nail the pit stop, right? So a lot of different factors can play into this. And it's early, right? I mean, this is race number 1. Yeah, the field size might not be, massive, right? We're not going to see 30 cars tonight and 20, GTPs, but that's totally fine because this is a brand new series. Again, and this is a league, Frankie, and you've been a part of ASRA right now for quite a bit, where we've done Cup Series and Truck Series in the past. It's really been oval stuff, right? So this is our first venture into road racing. So, we expected kind of a slow start, right? But we believe the core people that we have here are the right people for the time and for the time frame, and we're going to grow this thing, and man, this is going to be kick-ass in no time flat. So I'm pretty pumped to see this. Right now, Devin Lucan currently on top of the board here, sitting right there. Pretty good so far. A lot of fast guys here, I will say. I've been seeing these guys in practice, Frankie, and I mean, they don't mess around. Like these guys, they want to still go for that championship and go for those trophies. They are going to gun for it.
Yeah, especially the GTP, even though not a big category, we only got 4 people, but it's gonna be pretty interesting to see. And as we got Brandon Six going to the top of the board at a 132.4, that's what he did in practice. So not super surprising he's able to back up that pace, a little lock up into turn 3. You know, and again, we'll see who's gonna be the GTP leader after about a couple laps, or who's going to be the pole sitter, excuse me. And knowing enough like of Daytona, you could be 3/10 off, but you're going to hang with someone because of the draft here, especially with these cars, these GTPs. They draft so well. Like, you get behind one of them, you get sucked in really good, and you could sit there. You could sit there for a while. All it takes for, let's say, if Brandon Six was leading, all it takes is for him to catch traffic at the wrong time for Lucan to really just pass him.
Yeah.
Get a run and pass him. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and that's the curious thing too about qualifying in this format is that these guys are racing essentially in the same field in the same racetrack as the GT3 cars, right? So right now we have about 9 or 10 GT3 cars, so the majority of the field will be them, but these GTPs, right, the prototypes, they're going to have to get through them, even in qualifying. So you have to set the fastest time, even navigating traffic. So that's the one key about this. Right now, about 6 minutes left of qualifying. To your point, Frankie, yeah, Brandon Six currently on top of that 132.468. Very fast lap time. For the GT3s in the blue on the left side of your screen, looks like Vincent Cernuto right here in that Porsche, looking pretty good right now at that 145.7. So you can really see, folks, the difference in lap times. It's about 12 seconds, Frankie. How much slower they really are.
Yeah, 12 seconds. I mean, that's not nothing, but at the same time, it's 12 seconds of straightaways and whatnot. I guarantee you, the GTPs, they will catch the GTD cars in about, they'll probably get to them about 8, 9, 10 laps into a stint. And we'll see how the leaders, or the GTP cars, we'll see how they navigate through the GTD traffic.
Exactly. Yeah, so far, though, going to be a fantastic time. Brandon Six currently on top right here. So, folks, a little housekeeping, just so you know. So, yeah, the top right of your screen is the track map, kind of a nice detail, and show you kind of where they are on the track. The driver in that big red circle there, the 66, that'll always show the driver that we're currently watching on the main view. That way you can see where they are on the track. Pretty cool stuff. And then on the left, that is the timing tower. Anybody in the yellow, that'll be the prototypes, like these cars right here that we're watching, Brandon Six, and then the GT threes will be in that blue category. So that shows the rankings and of each class. If we add LMPs as well, you would also see that class. But today, just GTPs and GT3s, so pretty cool stuff. So 4 minutes left to go in qualifying. Big shout out to our sponsors today, by the way, on race day, Harpoon Design, as well as Premier Setups. We don't use Premier Setups here on the road racing side, but they do them. So go and check them out, folks. Also Harpoon Design for your paint schemes. Excellent stuff right there. So, yeah, Frankie, this is going to be a lot of fun. 60 minutes once we get going here to figure out who's going to be the inaugural winner of this Daytona race.
Absolutely. The GTD cars, 1st to 6th, is about a second. So it's going to be a fun battle watching Cernuto, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in that 55 Porsche. He's going to have some stiff competition. He just put down an even better lap for 145.5. Let's see if anybody like Chris Rabel, Nick Silver can catch him.
And we have a nice, like, healthy difference in cars, too, right? I mean, Chris Rabel has that Ford Mustang, the new one. Nick Silver, I believe, as well, does have that. Looking good right there. Seen a couple Porsches. Noah Tansman in the Porsche. Isaac Brock rocking that Corvette. Andrew Allen as well. BMW right here. Marshall Harris rocking the also the Ford. No, interestingly enough, Frankie, no Lamborghinis or Mercedes we're seeing today.
Yeah, they might have their hauler might have had a flat tire getting
Oof.
on the way to here.
That's that's never a good thing. I mean, you and I, we're familiar quite a bit with the Mustang. I'm sorry, the Mercedes and the Lamborghini. I mean, you and I ran Daytona here for the spinneroonie, Marshall Harris. All good, trying to push it as much as he can in qualifying. That can happen. But yeah, we know this track quite a bit, Frankie. Did the 12 hour or 24 hours of Daytona earlier on in the Mercedes, I believe it was, and got that P3. Pretty good right there, and then followed it up with the wins back-to-back at Bathurst and Sebring with our good pal Brandon Six, actually, who's in P1 right now. So some cool stuff. A couple of wins in the back pocket for us, Frankie. We kind of know what we're talking about, even though I'm pretty well cooked half the time.
Oh no, I mean, yeah, you might be a little cooked, but like to be honest, I mean, it's good fun, and yeah, it's a little disappointing to see no Mercedes or even Lamborghinis here. Oh, someone's cooked it too far.
Brandon Six just sends it. Only a minute and a half left. He's probably pretty happy with his qualifying lap, as to most of these guys. Cernuto right now going to try and top his best lap, 145.5 right now. Doesn't beat it, it looks like, but looking pretty good. Also, folks, on the tower, where it says that yellow box L6, next to 6, or L2 next to half, that is when they last pit. So you'll know when they last pit right there. That way you can track alongside at home their stints. If they're on the out lap, it'll say out. On the in lap, they'll come in. So some good information to pass along. Mark Martinek right here as well in P7. Looking pretty good here in this Lucky Strike BMW. Good stuff right there. Daniel Half currently in P4. Out of those prototypes, love that red and black machine. It kind of reminds me, Frankie, of the old the Verizon paint schemes that you see in like Indy, or even like the old Jimmy McMurray, I believe it was. Verizon paint schemes, like half red, half black. Looking pretty sharp today.
Yeah, that almost looks like an old Will Power Indy car.
Yes, exactly. Good stuff.
I think the other thing that, as we see Cernuto going through the bus stop, maybe one thing that we might have to talk about is track limits.
Great point.
Here, track limits is not. There's only really one place that it's very difficult, and that's the bus stop. You saw the 55 Porsche going through. It is so easy to get an off track there, and like especially in qualifying, like that's going to hamper his time. But in the race, you can only do that so many times, right? I believe the limit. I don't believe we have a limit, but
Right.
still, I mean, especially in qualifying, that could be. He might
That's
have
huge.
almost put it a 144, but of course with the off track, not a chance with that. But still,
Exactly. And right now, I mean, Cernuto actually, checkered flag is out. So that is the end of qualifying. There's some about a minute and a half of kind of downtime they wait for until the end of the session, kind of like a cool down period. But as it is, Brandon Six will be the pole sitter for the prototype class, 132.083. And then Vincent Cernuto will be the pole sitter for the GT3s at a 145.4. So good stuff right there for those guys. Going to be getting themselves in the front. But 60 minutes, Frankie, I mean, it's not long, right? But it is kind of a matter of endurance. And these guys, keep in mind too, it's an open setup session in the league. So these guys have their custom sets. They're making them throughout the practice or even throughout the week. And it really comes down to that. So, fuel saving, might come into play too. Fuel's about 50% here for the GT3s, I believe 40% for the GTPs. So a lot of different things are going to happen. Fuel mileage is going to be key, right? Saving fuel, knowing when to save fuel. A lot can happen.
yeah, especially when we'll get with those 50 and 40% fuels, we'll get pit stops, and I believe they can go about 11, 12 laps. So my math's not very good, but I believe that's shy of 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So we might see some fuel saving towards the end of the race.
Agree. Definitely could be. But I'm pretty excited to get this thing going. Obviously, again, new territory for us, for ASRA, as well as race day itself. So I'm pretty pumped, Frankie, to get this thing going, get some road racing. This has always been a secret crush of mine, is the road racing IMSA stuff, and maybe even you too. But I'm pretty pumped to get this thing going. All right, so right now we're going to go and thank a couple sponsors. This is a warm-up period for them. Now that qualifying is over, we're going to be doing some quick warm-up, making sure everyone has their race setups in the cars and everything's going good for them. So a great time for us to quickly take a step aside, thank our sponsors. We'll come right back, folks.
Fancy like Husky, fancy like Husky, fancy like Husky, fancy like Doggy bowl empty, Lakers pool sleeping, rug pull, cash grab, NFTs delight, rug pull, cash grab, idiot.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back today for the IMSA experience here in Daytona, the inaugural race for the IMSA experience here for the ASRA. Big excitement here right now. We're early on. Cannot wait to get this thing going, as we always do. Shout out to the chat. I do see you, Nick and Joseph. How's it going, man? Love seeing you guys here today in the chats, as well as anybody else watching. Josh as well. Good stuff. A lot of our drivers from the Cup Series popping on over. Good to see. So right now, warm-up is underway. We're not going to do the entire 12 minutes that is remaining. That's going to be just a quick checkup for the drivers, making sure everyone's good to go, and then they'll be advancing this. So for now, we'll just hang tight and get ready for the race. Should be a lot of fun. I'm pretty excited. Like I said, I mean, Frankie and I, did some road racing. A lot of these guys I've raced with, even personally in the field today. So going to be a lot of fun seeing who gets this thing done today. Quick reminder, 60 minutes will be how long this race is. So 60 minutes, and that'll be it. This is a timed event, right? So the NASCAR side, oval racing, typically, by laps, right? But this is going to be by time. So 60 minutes when the green flag comes out, and that will be it. So going to be a lot of fun to decide this first race. We'll get this thing going here momentarily. But Daytona has always been a fun time. I mean, this place just has so much history to it, and it's incredible. It's cool to see us getting to this point in the league where we can bring in some road racing, and we're going to make this thing big. So awesome. 10 minutes about to go here. By the way, if you weren't here yesterday for the race day at Daytona on the oval for the ASRA Harpoon Design Cup Series. It's probably glad you weren't. I'm just kidding. The the broadcast was pretty rough. We had some iRacing glitches and difficulties there, so we streamed it. But man, it was hard to watch sometimes. So we're gonna get out a recap video of Daytona, a really nice one, pretty soon. If not tonight, tomorrow perhaps. If not the next day. So we'll have a good recap coming out your way there shortly for that. Sometimes when iRacing glitches, we can't help it. And today, hopefully we're not going to have that. So we'll see how that goes. But appreciate the patience. We strive for perfection, man. And that's what we're going to do. Quick lineup as we're going through. So Brandon 6 is going to be your pole sitter. Devin Lucan going to be in P2 for the prototype class. Eric Papineau in P3, and then Daniel Half, in the top 4. So 4 prototypes here tonight, trying to go for that win. And then that GT3 class in the blue right there. A lot of big-time drivers in this. Vincent Cernuto, Chris Rabel, Nick Silver, Noah Tansman, Isaac Brock. Man, so many good drivers here. Andrew Allen, Mark Martinek, Jesse Necula, and then Marshall Harris. So awesome to see Mark Martinek on track right now during the warm-up. We'll take a look at his ride real quick as we go around waiting for this race to start. Shout out to Mark Martinek, by the way. He was actually, if you followed Race Day, he was a part of our Extreme Series, Extreme Graphics Next Gen series on Thursdays that we did for their season. So awesome to see Mark out here today. Good stuff right there. Joining the road series. Always love to see that. So looking pretty good, pretty sharp right now. And this is one of those things too, folks. This series is going to be an open series. So not only setups, but also, recruitment. So if you're interested, I believe, don't quote me, Brandon Bowie is the series director here, but we're going to be having this series open to drivers the entire season. Kind of a new model we're going to go for. It's hard to make leagues nowadays, right? So we're going to have these guys fill in the series the entire season. That way, season 2 can be as kick-ass as it wants to be. So if you're interested in some GT3 or prototype IMSA style racing, hey, come on over, man. Gonna be a lot of fun. Brennan 6 also on track as well, warming up. So far, so good. There it is. Session's over. Checkered flag right now, and we are good to go. So here we go. 1 hour is the race length. Frankie right now, again, co-commentating with us today, but also race control. So we'll be working alongside him today and for the season. Always a fun time. Again, thanks, folks, for being here for our first race of the IMSA experience. 13 viewers. Holy crap. I love that. Love to see some road racing fans out there. Rolling Thunder in the chat in the 06. That's Devin Lucan looking to bring home a championship. Hell yeah, man. Let's do it. Let's get it. Bring your friends. Let's make this thing huge. Man, the Cup Series, absolutely monster of a series, and I can't thank everyone who does that enough. Season 7 last night kicked off, and extremely happy about that. So here we go. Frankie, we're going to get this thing going right now. About to get it underway, man. Tension's real, dude.
Yeah, tension's real. We got GTPs, GTD cars here at Daytona, probably the best racetrack in the country, at least in my opinion, besides Road America. But we've got a good car count, especially for the first race. I'm excited to see what these boys are willing to do for for the first ASRA trophy.
Yes, sir. Right now, 4 prototypes going to be lining up behind that pace car. And what we thought to be 4, looks like half did not make the starting lineup, so we'll wait on that. Maybe he's starting from the pits. But then Vincent Cernuto going to be getting that green flag as well for the GT3s. So a stacked field. We're going to get this thing going right now. Brandon 6 going to be the first one to take the green flag for the prototype series. We're going to get this thing going right now. Pace car going to pull left. And we are going to hit this thing right now. Who can win the inaugural race? The starter cam has the green flag in the air. And the first ever race for the IMSA experience is live. Prototypes all get through turn 1 real nice, but now the GT3s have to navigate that too. So far, fantastic time. Right now, turns 1, turns 2, and 3. This is pretty tough. Uh-oh, 1 spin out already. Isaac Brock, I believe that is. Yes, it is. Around in the International Horseshoe. Keeps it going, though. Hey, a long race. Get that thing back going. He's going to be all set.
Looks like we have Brandon 6 that's fallen off the lead pack. Something must have happened on the exit of 3.
We'll see if we can find out what happened real quick to Brandon 6. The blue car on the outside. Oh, just locked it up on the outside. Couldn't get it going. Into the grass. Has to keep it going. Oh, man. That can happen.
Yeah, these tires that are, when they're cold, they're very tough to stop. And you could see right there, he probably braked where he didn't qualifying. That was about a good 25, 30 feet too deep. And you saw the result there.
Isaac Brock already back up to speed, which is good to see. These guys could be navigating the bus stop right here, or I believe they call it the Le Mans, what do they call it? The Le Mans chicane, Frankie?
Yep, that is accurate. Le Mans
right.
chicane now.
They changed it on us. So far, so good. Gonna get lap 1 underway already. Devin Lucan looking really strong already, up to a good lead. Eric Papineau in P2. Brandon 6 and 3rd for the prototypes right now. Back to turn 1 now, up to full song right here. And that's the difference, Frankie, about like turn 1 on a restart, but then also turn 1 when you're up to full speed, right? Because the braking zones are so different. So from lap 1 to lap 2, you really got to adjust.
Yeah, not only braking zones, but also tire temps. Like we saw that 66 prototype, he broke probably where he should have normally and under normal circumstances. But when your tires are cold, your brakes are cold, that's too deep. And these guys are having to adjust right now. They'll be back to normal in about a lap or 2.
Yes, sir.
But this is going to be the interesting fight right here. Obviously, Vincent Cernuto was the fastest in qualifying, was the fastest in practice. But Chris Rabel, not too far off of him. If Chris can hit his marks, stay close, then you never know. A mistake from Cernuto and a good Chris Rabel corner, that may mean Chris Rabel to the lead.
Toughest part of the track right here. These guys nail that bus stop entrance. Fantastic job, the exit right here. But that's the spot you were talking about, Frankie. That little area right next to those cones, that can be a spot for incident points, right, off tracks and things like that. So you can get a slowdown based off of that if you exit that corner too far left, and that'll really kill your time.
Yeah, because we got a close battle for the lead of GTD. Got Chris Rabel to the outside of Vincent Cernuto. I don't think Chris Rabel's going to have the line. He's not. He's going to tuck back in line. But Cernuto went a little deep on the brakes. It's going to allow Rabel a run, but not enough.
Yeah, so far, really good job by these guys. Everyone's getting through the corners pretty well clean. No incidents really besides the, the initial spin out by a couple guys, but no harm, no foul, no damage really done. So that's the nice thing about it.
Yeah, we've got about what, 6 GTD cars in shot. They all have a chance at a win. They're all super close up together. And like I said, all it takes is one little bobble, slow down, or a GTP catching someone in the wrong spot, and that lead from the 55 Porsche is gone, and even anyone else for that matter.
Great view right here from Mark Martinek getting through that bus stop. Really good job right there, getting consistent with it. Awesome stuff. Devin Lucan right now in the prototypes doing a great job getting through this traffic right now. Starting to see some competition here. Brandon Six not too far back from Papineau. He was the one who spun out right here actually in this horseshoe on the first lap. But yeah, to your point, Frankie, tires get cold and brakes are different. So let's ride on board actually Brandon Six as he tries to close the gap to Eric Papineau.
Yeah, right now he's going to get a little bit of a draft, but he's not going to get enough
Fancy life.
to get a run into the bus stop. He's going to try to back this corner a little bit, break it to 1.5. He's going to really go in there. And it was a pretty decent corner right there. I don't know if he's close enough now, but it's all about just trying to set up Eric Papineau.
In that sun right there, Frankie, too. It's not going to be huge, in this race, but we are going to end this race at nighttime, or at least pretty close to nighttime. So that'll change the track quite a bit. You would expect grip levels to be higher as we get going, right? So that'll change how this car feels quite a bit.
Yeah, exactly. The transition to day and night, it just seems to really tighten these cars up. And if you already feel tight, then unfortunately, it's not going to get any better. You might have to figure it out eventually. But yeah, Brandon Six looking to charge on Papineau, who's done a really good job holding them off. I think Brandon Six has been there for at least a couple laps, but just can't find a way past 17 up. As soon as I say that, I made a little bit of a mistake. Now Brandon Six is pretty close, as long as he doesn't mess up this corner right here. And yeah, my bad. I'm sorry, Eric. Might have an announcer jinxed you. But
Oh no.
Brandon Six, but it's not over for Papineau. He is close enough where the draft is really gonna be key here. And let's see what Brandon Six does. Does Eric Papineau, he's gonna pop? Is he gonna? No, he's going to stay in line, looks like. Not close enough just yet.
So far, so good. Great battles right now. Brandon Six gets around Eric, so he's going to try and race and try and catch up to Devin Lucan, who's pretty far ahead, I will say. Just crossing the line now. So a long way to go for those guys. But battle is heating up still for these GT3s. A lot of these guys in line. Nick Silver, Chris Rabel in that second and third spot. A lot of guys recovering, doing pretty well.
Yeah, Vincent Cernuda has done an absolutely fantastic job out in front. And main thing is his best corner looks like has been the bus stop, especially over Chris Rabel and Nick Silver. He's been really good in the bus stop. He's entering pretty well. He's carrying the speed through and getting on throttle at the correct point, and he's able to just eke out a little more gap on Chris Rabel. Now I think Chris is he's barely hanging on to the draft, but it's not enough to the point where Chris is. I mean, he's going to gain a little bit, but I think Chris, for it to really be effective, he needs to be a little bit closer.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and right now we're seeing, Devin Lucan right here for the prototypes has a 5.1 second lead right there. So Brandon Six trying to catch him, obviously. Cernudo right now has about a 7/10 of a second lead, but they're coming. Chris Rabel, Nick Silver, they're going to be there pretty soon, looks like. And tires do matter in this race. So I guess that's the question too, Frankie, I have for you, right? Is that, hey, if this was an endurance race, you're probably taking only one set of tires in a 60-minute stint, right? So in a race like this, what do? You know, you got to come down for fuel at some point. So do you take no tires? Do you take tires? What are you doing here if you're a GT3 car?
Man, that's a good question. I would, since they're going to pit again. There's no question they're going to pit again. I would probably take tires this stint, this for the next stint, and see how they were, what their wear is. But if they don't wear too bad, then yeah, I would probably just take fuel only, because for about, I think once the car is done with tires, if you run it completely out of gas, I think it's about 12 gallons, I think.
Okay.
For it to like lay on the jack. So if at any point that fuel only is quicker than a full pit stop, then if there's not a huge disadvantage with tires, then yes, I could definitely see some people not taking tires.
And that can be a huge advantage too, right? Because I mean, tires, that's another, man, that's like 15, 20 seconds you have to wait for, because with these cars, especially the GT3s, correct me if I'm wrong, Frankie, but they fuel them up first and then change the tires, right?
The fuel does go in first, but they change the tires simultaneously.
Okay. All right.
It's not exactly NASCAR, but the fuel is engaged, then about a couple seconds later they start to change the tires.
Perfect. Well, hey, right now we're seeing this battle is closing up for sure right here. So Devin Lucan looking great in that 06 right now. There he is, that slick race graphics machine looking good. But Brandon 6 is closing the gap quite a bit. Right now it's 3.7 seconds. So 6 definitely has some speed here. I'm not sure if this is based on, tires maybe, but he has definitely found his groove and has found the speed.
Absolutely. Devin Lucan had to go through some traffic there. It was about almost a second, 1.4 seconds slower than Brandon 6. So the battle is not over, not by a long shot with these two. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens after the pit stops, because we are on for the GTPs, we're on lap 8 of this run. We're going to see how long they could go and what exactly are they going to do, because like you said, they could just take fuel on.
It's a great point. Right now, Marshall Harris being shown on the track. Looks like he's 6 laps down, but looks like he's finally joining the race. So there he is right there, going to go for those points. And Marshall Harris, hey, we know him, right, on the Cup side of things. Not the most experienced road racer, but hey, out here learning, practicing, and trying to figure this out. So respect there for sure. Hey, this series, we've always marketed it, Frankie, as, hey, this is a humble beginnings kind of a series, right? Because look at where the Cup Series was 3 years ago, right? It was this size for our first couple of races, and look where it is now. So this is it's cool to see a bunch of different kinds of drivers, really really fast drivers like Lucan and Brandon 6, right? And then there's some drivers who might not know a lot about GT3 or IMSA style racing or road racing in general, but here they are, right? They're figuring it out, they're learning, and they're making this thing and being a part of its growth. So pretty cool to see, and this is just exciting times, man. I love this stuff personally.
Yeah, I've always had a soft spot for sports car racing and endurance racing, so it's really cool to see what we have here right now.
Big traffic here for Devin, excuse me, getting through it. But you can really see right there, especially, just the difference in speed, right? I mean, these cars are just pretty insane. And the funny thing too, Frankie, is that in the cornering, they're almost similar in a way. But as far as, speeds and whatnot, but GTPs, these prototypes really just have the acceleration and the aero to be nimble.
Yeah, these cars, I believe these GTP cars weigh less than 2,000 pounds. And I mean, it's it's pretty sickening to see that car weigh less than 2,000 pounds, and man, it just flies around the track. I mean, it's aerodynamically extremely efficient, and yeah, it's a pretty cool race car. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's a really cool race car. Yeah, one of the storylines we were talking about earlier was, what will the traffic situation look like, or how will the prototypes and the GT cars race against each other? Well, for about 2 laps ago, I thought Devin Lucan was in trouble a little bit because he had to go through some traffic. But the great thing about being the leader is once you go through the traffic and the other guy hasn't, then you'll really see how much second place gained. And it looks like Brandon 6 actually lost a little bit in the traffic cycle here. So, and that's what it comes down to. And in most scenarios, when you have these prototypes and the GT cars out there, it's just how well you can manage traffic.
Definitely is, and that's going to be, the thing too, right? That's kind of the narrative now for Brandon 6. He has to kind of catch Devin Lucan, and he's 5 seconds back, but that could change pretty quick, right? I mean, you could lose a lot of time. One thing that we haven't really talked about is you can lose a ton of time on pit entrance, right? And also on pit exit. So that right there, if they honed in that time, potentially, that could be key. So, I mean, that can be time lost and gained, but also, tires. Do you take tires, right sides, left sides, whatever it is. So that could be a lot of different things that can play as a variable too. But even in the time that I've been talking, Frankie, he's gained 0.7 of a second on him. So he's go 6 again, gets loose as I say that. He's pushing hard, man.
Yeah, he's pushing, and unfortunately pushed a little too hard there, Brandon 6. I mean, that's not the first time he's done it, so he might, we'll see. I mean, I think he is a little quicker than Devin is, but Devin right now is just, he hasn't made many mistakes, and that's really got him in the lead. And we'll see if he can hold on. I mean, he's held on pretty good. The gap is basically stayed constant for the most part.
And that is the key, right? I mean, we talk about that even like in our own endurance racing, stuff, right? You and I, it's like, we don't have to be the fastest guy on track. We just got to be the most consistent. And we can't, you can't make mistakes. You have to just have a solid race. So like I speak for myself, especially with that, because I am not by any means, fast, right, in the GT3 world, but I can hold a line. I cannot make mistakes. I cannot spin out, and I'm just fast enough to kind of be better than, some, right? So it works like that. And in a case like this, Devin, so far, not making any mistakes, has speed, but, might not be the fastest car, right? But he's holding it down, and that's what matters sometimes the most.
Yeah, we'll really see the true pace of Devin Lucan and Brandon 6. They're only going to hit one GT car right now. And Devin's going to hit him into turn 5, I believe. And we'll see what happens. And right there, just a little dink, just a little dink in the steering wheel. Had to slow down a little bit to be that extra sure that nothing would happen. And that cost him a 10th or 2, but those 10ths can add up. And see right now, Brandon 6, he's going through Marshall Harris, who spun. Well, but right there, he didn't have to. He caught him on the exit of the corner, right? Like he's not catching him on the entry, and we'll see a replay here.
Yeah, here's Marshall's wreck right here, coming out of this turn, coming onto the NASCAR oval. Yeah, just loses it, and that's right in front of Brandon 6 too. Trying to track down Lucan, so that could be huge, right? These GT3 cars, if they get into an incident, on track, and they get in front of the wrong guy, that could be catastrophic.
Yeah, that situation just looked like just carrying too much speed, and with these cars, you carry too much speed. There's no catching them. As we see, Jesse Nekula pitting. Looks like he's got the car jacked up, so they are going to take tires. or at least Jesse's going to take tires. And this is less than 20 minutes in, so I don't know. This might be a little early, unless he absolutely had to come down pit road. This is maybe a little too early. As Cernuto, he's about almost 2 seconds ahead. Now he's less than half a second.
Yeah, Chris Rabel has been catching for sure. So,
well, it looks like Cernuto is going to pit. All right, Vincent Cernuto, the first of the top 5 to blink, coming into the pits.
And this is the question too, to your point. Like, what do they do? Does Cernuto take the tires? Does he not take tires? He's got the speed, so what does he do here? We'll see if that car gets propped up. So far, no, Frankie, so it looks like he might be going fuel only. A couple of more guys. Mark Martinek now coming in. Green flag pit stops are here, so about 20 laps in, Frankie. If my math is correct, they might have to pit or save some fuel at the end, because they have to pit once more time for sure. They got to really stretch it here.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting little tactic or interesting strategy call right here. They're pitting. What they're going to try to do is they're going to pit in 20-minute sections. As we can see, the leader, the overall leader, coming down pit road.
Interesting. And typically the GTP cars, Frankie, they have a little bit less fuel than the GT3s. So they're coming down pit road now the same time as the GT3s. That's very interesting to see.
Yeah, I think they actually have more fuel in the tank. They just have a less fuel percentage because they have more fuel in the tank.
Right.
So
this might
not be a bad call, because they're going to try and split this race into thirds. They're going to go 20 minutes and 20 minutes. Not a bad idea, but it's going to leave Brandon 6 out there with free track right now.
And I will say, man, we talk about mistakes, right? But Devin Lucan rolled through his pit box a little bit, had to reverse it, I believe it was. So that, it might not be a huge mistake, but definitely will cost him a second, maybe 2 seconds, on the overall gap. So if Brandon 6 has a nice clean entrance, that could be a big time difference, as we're starting to see the lights come on right now. Sun is starting to set, folks. Almost halfway through, Frankie. The first race, and so far we're seeing some great racing, green flag racing, and some pit stops already.
Yeah, we're seeing pit stops, and I believe that's Chris Rabel coming out of the pits. Where is Vincent Cernuto on the track? It's going to be close. It's going to be close. He's up to Silver, but he's not up to Rabel. I think Rabel's going to get him here.
He is. You can see him right there coming out of pit entrance. International Horseshoe. Yeah, that's it. So Chris Rabel.
But, so here's the kicker. If Chris Rabel took tires, right, and if Cernuto didn't, Vincent Cernuto will have an advantage for about a lap. He will have an advantage. But if he did take tires, then either way, Vincent will still have a little bit of an advantage, because his tires are now warm, they're hot, they're ready to go. Chris Rabel is going to have to take it a little easy through the first couple corners. Let's see Brandon 6 exiting. Where is Devin Lucan on the track? Oh.
This is going to be real tight.
This is going to be real tight. Devin's going to have to hustle. Believe he will get him, but it's... Oh, no, he's not. He is not going to get him. Brandon 6. A great overcut.
It really was. And that's the thing, too, right? I feel like if fuel mileage is, it seems like, I mean, based on simple math, these guys, both classes really had to pit about a third of the way into this race. So if you can save even just one lap, per fuel run, that'll get you to the end comfortably. Whereas if you have to pit a little earlier than that third mark, that might not be as close. So Brandon 6 definitely found some time there, but also we talked about too, right? Lucan having to, not be in his pit box the right way, had to get back into it. That all kills the time.
Yeah, if you're Devin Lucan, you're wondering, well, if I had just got into my pit stall a little better, would I still be in front? I think the answer is yes. He's going to be kicking himself a little bit. here, but it's not over yet. He's gotta just mentally slap himself and just be like, listen, I have the leader right in front of me. I just gotta focus on the leader. I have to get to Brandon 6.
So a new leader right now in both classes. Brandon 6 up front right now for the GTPs, and then Chris Rabel took the lead for the GT3s, both under pit conditions. But man, Vincent is right there on the back end of Chris Rabel. Nick Silver not too far back either.
The interesting part about both of them is both of them were overcuts. They went longer, as we see a spin in turn 1. Isaac Brock, unfortunately not having the race I think he wanted, but at the end of the day, he's moving.
Yeah, really good stuff right now for both classes. Cernudo 1/10 of a second back, so he's in the draft too, and the draft here is pretty key. He might actually have a run here into turn 1. Doesn't pull out just yet, doesn't make a move. But hard into turn 1 right there, hard braking zone. Gets it going. Brandon 6 up front still. Devin Lucan 1.6 seconds back, so definitely some time to gain for Lucan. But really impressive so far. Papano in 3rd place, holding on to his car and maintaining that 3rd spot. Pretty good stuff right here. But man, racing all around, Frankie.
Yeah, we're just hearing in my ears that Devin Lucan's having issues with his battery. So the batteries on these GTPs, they're rechargeable, but the problem is when they don't want to charge, you have a bit of an issue. Or if Devin maybe put the voltage or put the in F1 terms, overtake on too long, and if it drains the battery, then he's not going to have a battery, and that'll hurt his horsepower. These batteries are about 150 horsepower in the prototypes. They're a huge deal, and when your battery's not working properly, well, you're going to be losing time.
Yes, sir. Right now, riding on board Cernudo, trying to overtake Chris Rabel right now, getting through that bus stop, looking pretty good, and then now going to have that draft again.
Yeah, let's stay on board with Cernudo, as he's got a really good opportunity here. I assume that Chris Rabel will stay to the WL line right here. Not getting it. He's going to get the run now. He's in 6th gear. Going to pop to the outside. Yep, he's going to pop to the outside. He's going to hope Chris Rabel can seize the position, but I don't believe he will. He's not alongside. Oh, Cernudo's going to go for it. Right here, late on the brakes. And he's got it. Well done, Vincent Cernudo. You can just see, like, as soon as we went on board with Cernudo, that he's just able to get into the corner better than Chris Rabel, especially through the bus stop. He's able to get in, carry more speed into the corner, and still keep the grip. And right there, it paid off big time for the 55 Porsche.
Yeah, it's really impressive. So, I mean, Cernudo, very good job right there, getting past him. And one thing, too, Frankie, to keep in mind, so right there, you know, on the timing tower, we're seeing those yellow boxes. That's when they last pit. So we're seeing Cernudo, you know, pit 1 lap before the rest of the field for the GT3s. Same thing with, you know, Brandon 6 pitted 1 lap after his competition. So that's going to be key, maybe, you know. So Cernudo, you know, he might have less fuel than his other counterparts in this race. So, you know, at the end of the race, does he have enough fuel to make it all the way? It's tough to tell.
Yeah, it's going to be, might be a little bit of an issue, but at the end of the day, I think saving a lap here is going to be difficult, especially in 12, 13 laps. It is a little bit of an issue, or yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a task, but I think Vincent can do it.
Isaac Brock going around right there in the Western Horseshoe, holding on to it still. Gets it back going. Not a bad job. Hey, still P7. It's not bad. Hey, to your point, maybe not having the best race he wanted to, but this is invaluable experience for him, and this is good to see. So that's what matters sometimes too. So this battle's still kicking up. Brandon 6 having to get through the leaders right now of the GT3 cars.
Yeah, and this is going to really hurt Chris Rabel a little bit. It's not going to hurt Cernuto a whole lot, because he's able to get Brandon 6 is able to pass him on the straightaway. Although we are 10 seconds away from being halfway into this race, and right now pole sitters for both classes are out in front. Brandon 6 with a little more of a dramatic race than he probably wanted.
Hey,
But he's back up in front.
And the thing is, right, like, you know, this is what I'm talking about with the excitement level, is that, hey, you know, yeah, we might only have 13 cars, right, in the field, but the racing is super respectful, right? I mean, between GT3s and prototypes. Good racing, even within, you know, each class, right? We saw great racing there with, you know, Cernuto and Rabel, so the respect is there, right? And that's sometimes hard to find in this space. So that's definitely encouraging to see early on, Frankie.
Yeah, it's very encouraging, especially like you said, the GTD battle. It's less than a second away, and you know Chris Rabel has shown he could stay with Vincent Cernuto. So it's gonna be a dogfight till the end. We're barely halfway through.
Yes, sir.
So we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, we expect some more pit stops probably in about 9 minutes or so. So that'll be interesting to see. Potentially the last pit stop of the day for these guys. Right now we're looking at Andrew Allen right now on track, looking pretty good. Love that. Noah Tansman as well, right behind him a little bit in that Porsche. A lot of these good-looking paint schemes. I think that's Buddha on the front of that car, so that's interesting, but love that. Looking pretty sweet. Mark Martinek right now, that Lucky Strike machine. Love that paint scheme. Nice and simple, but effective. Marshall Harris back in the pits. Missing a back wing. Uh-oh. That's not good. But these guys still fighting for it. A lot to fight for right now. Chris Rabel currently about 1 second back. A little bit less than that, but trying to track down Cernuto. And then that gap for the leader, the overall leader of Brandon 6, still looking pretty good. 3 seconds right now in front of Devin Lucan, but also Eric Papineau as well. So good stuff, man.
Yeah, and the job for Devin Lucan and Chris Rabel are pretty similar. If you're Devin Lucan, you're trying to get the gap as close as possible before you pit. Chris Rabel, you're trying to get as close as you can to Cernuto, and just basically, I would say pass him, but you know, I would say we need to have them race a little bit. We need some more action. We need some action in the booth. You know, we got enough action, but we want more action.
Right now, riding aboard Devin Lucan inside that prototype, the Cadillac. This thing sounds so damn good, man. I love it.
I'll tell you what, he's gained a lot right now through this infield right here. The gap was 3 seconds. It's now at 2. He's gained a full second since we last saw him. Let's stay on board with Devin, or we can go on board let's stay on board with Devin. Let's see where he's gonna break in the bus stop. Let's see how he takes this bus stop.
Pretty aggressive entrance.
Yeah. It's impressive how much speed he's carrying. It might be a tad too much. He had maybe a tad bit of understeer on the exit, but nothing too crazy. But he's there. I mean, the important part for Devin Lucan is he can see. That's his rabbit right up in front of him. He can see him.
Yeah, really impressive
point-
job so far.
Yeah, at this point, it's all about just chasing that rabbit. It is right there in front of him.
And Eric Papineau really not too far back either. I mean, I know it says 7.7 seconds, but he's definitely in the picture, right? Like if Six and Lucan have some kind of an issue, or maybe they tag each other, or whatever happens, Eric is right there. So do not count out Eric. Hey, maybe he has a different strategy, later on. Maybe he just goes for that fuel only, and maybe those guys take tires. Who knows? But a lot can still happen right now.
Yeah, and Papineau's been on pace for the 2 leaders. It's just I think he lost a little too much on the first stint, and maybe in the pit stops because he pitted with Devin Lucan. Might have lost a little too much. As you see Nick Silver going for a pass on the lap car of Marshall Harris.
Some good stuff here. I want to take a look at this paint scheme real fast. Looking very good. Probably my favorite maybe on the track right now. Gremlins cards. Love that. I believe on their website, actually, I think I saw it last night on one of their paint schemes. But if you go on, I think it's Bowie Esports 20 is the promo code for 20% off. So pretty cool. Looking good. It has a what do you call that? A QR code on the top of the hood. So there you go. Snap away and take a look at it. You know what? I'm doing that right now. Let's see if it actually works. Live from the booth, Frankie. We're going to try and scan this QR code. I bet it works.
Yeah, I hope it does. I mean, a ton of the newer schemes right now that are more technology based. I mean, yeah, they got QR codes. Let's see if it works.
Pretty cool stuff. Love that kind of technology. It was a fun ride, but yeah, so far, Nick Silver doing pretty good. Currently in P3. 9 seconds back. Has kind of lost some speed here a little bit over the course of this this run, but really, I mean, definitely going to be able to still continue. Again, long way to go. 23 minutes still. So we're going to get back down to green flag pit stops here shortly, which will be key as well. So not too bad. In the meantime, before we go to do green flag pit stops, let's take a quick break real fast. We'll go race day nonstop. You won't miss any of the racing, but we'll go and thank some sponsors. We'll come right back, folks.
Fancy like Husky, fancy like Husky, fancy like Husky, fancy like Doggy bowl empty, Lakers pool sleeping, Rock pool cash grab, NFTs delight, Rock pool cash grab, idiot.
Alrighty, and we are back right now. Big thanks to all the sponsors that help us make this thing possible. Right now, though, getting pretty dicey up at the front. Seeing Brandon Six trying to get around lap traffic. But Devin Lucan right there as well. In P2, not too far back now, 0.7 of a second. This thing's going to heat up pretty quick as we get down to the second round of pit stops here soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Devin went through that beautifully, went through that GTD traffic beautifully. Brandon Six got caught up in the chicane out of turn one, could not accelerate because he had to wait. Just too tight in turn two right there after turn one. It's too tight. Can't go too wide there unless you're alongside someone out of the exit of turn one. But Devin has now closed the gap. He's within, I believe. I believe he's in the draft.
Yeah, 1.2
So-
seconds just about. So it's roughly about that time frame, Frankie. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's gonna be hungry to catch Brandon Six because he right now the gap was 3 seconds and it was down to 2, and it's just been slowly creeping down, and he's in this draft. So now Devin's job has become a little easier because now all it will really take is if Brandon Six messes up, that's all it's going to take. And surprisingly, they're not coming down pit road yet. They're not coming down. There's 20 minutes left. I believe Devin's gonna probably go around one more time. To pit. There's on the brakes, Eric Papineau.
Yeah, we saw him about to come down pit road, but yeah, just too hard on the brakes right there, trying to make up as much time as he can. But not a bad move aggressively to try and get some time there. But yeah, that can sometimes bite you. But we'll see what he does here. Going to get some tires, but perhaps if he has some flat spots there, but maybe just no tires. And oh, there he goes. Tires it is.
Yeah, just unfortunate for Papineau, and obviously not what he wanted. He wanted to gain some time on his pit entry. We got Marshall Harris around. Is that another car moving slowly on the exit of 6? No, never mind. Never mind. My bad. I'm seeing things. It's been a long day, but we've got the GT. We got maybe a little battle for position here. Noah Tansman versus the 88.
Andrew Allen. These guys are heating it up right now.
Yeah. We do have a change for the lead in GTD. Vincent Cernuto has come down pit road. He's going to stop. And there is Devin Lucan. So we'll see. The overcut was the better option last time during these cycles. Let's see. What?
Blows through his pit box again, Frankie. Can't be doing that.
Yeah, that's gonna cost him. That's gonna cost him some time. Unfortunately, just two mistakes. First, he didn't actually. I actually think he didn't stop enough. I don't think he stopped enough in his first pit stop, and that time he stopped. He did not. He just went way too deep into his stall. Just unfortunate.
That can happen.
Devin Lucan. Yeah, that's pretty easy to do, especially with these brakes on the prototypes. It's very easy to lock the rear tires. We saw with Eric Papineau on pit road. It's very easy to do. You step on that brake pedal too hard, you downshift too quickly, or not enough. Man, the rear tires just quit. They don't want to work. They don't want to set to the ground, and you're around. There's no saving it. See a little battle for fourth position here. Andrew Allen for third, net P4. Yeah, Noah Tanzeman chasing Andrew Allen.
And this cam, Frankie, is really nice because these drivers, right? GT3 cars, and typically they don't really race on a lot of banked tracks like this, right? That's kind of the magic of Daytona, and you can really see with this gyro cam that level of banking. Now they're coming down pit road now. No mistakes here. Can't be flying down into it. Really good job by these guys to keep this competitive entering pit road.
Absolutely. A really good job from Tansman and Allen to get on the pit road together cleanly. As here, let's see the battle for the lead. It's Rabel versus Cernuto. Who's going to be in the lead? I think it's Rabel again. I think it is. It's not the overcut. The overcut has been the beneficiary of both the classes. So now that is absolutely for the fight for the win. No fuel saving whatsoever for any of the GTP or the GTD cars. They're not going to have to save fuel. They've split this race perfectly into thirds.
And you can see this right here. Tansman gets out. So he was behind Andrew Allen, but look at the gap they now have. They didn't take tires. I think this is a matter of, you know, and for those who don't know, you can select how much fuel you want, you know, for a pit stop. So I think Noah maybe dialed in how much he knew he needed. Maybe, you know, Andrew didn't, you know, maybe overfilled it, right? And that means time, right? So right now we're seeing Noah Tansman out in front of Andrew by about 5 seconds. So that really saves him some time on pit road. As now we're seeing Brandon Six, the overall leader here, coming down pit road. Again, with that overcut, hits the pit box. Nice. Gonna get tires here, Frankie. Interesting call.
Yeah, I think he saw the tire wear, and I think he wanted to get some fresh boots on for this last stint. He could push. Right now, it's going to be interesting to see if he takes full fuel. That was a good point you brought up there, Steve. You don't have to fill it full. You can fill it to however much you want. You can fill it up to 10. You can fill it up to 11. You can fill it up to 1 gallon of fuel.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. So, and that's true. And right there, he's going to for sure come out ahead of Devin Lucan. Devin Lucan had to pitted 2 laps earlier. So I believe Devin Lucan had to put a good bit of more fuel into the car.
You can see that gap right there too. Yeah, it's big for sure. As we're seeing the leaders of GT3 still neck and neck, Rabel and Cernudo doing great.
Yeah, and right now Chris has a fight on his hands because he knows that Vincent Cernudo is going to be better than him onto the brakes. I think Chris Rabel has a little bit better straightaways. I think he's a little better down the straightaway, but Cernudo definitely better getting into the corner. And he's going to have it. Chris Rabel's going to have his hands full. As we'll see, ooh, that costed Cernudo some time. Devin Lucan passing Vincent Cernudo cost Vincent a little bit of time here. Probably about a couple tenths, but it's just enough where Cernudo has to claw his way back.
And here's the thing, just to touch on it once more, right? Like, this isn't NASCAR. This isn't oval racing, right? So you don't need, you know, necessarily, you know, more fuel for potential green, white, you know, checkered flag situations or overtime, right? You don't need that. You know, the race ends in 12 minutes at this point, 12 minutes and 54 seconds. So you really only need enough fuel to make it to the end of that time, and you're good. So if that means 13 gallons, then you put in 13.5, right? Or something like that. You know, you don't need to fill it, you know, to 20 gallons, for example, if that was the max capacity. So, but that right there saves time. So all the guys right there, potentially, like Andrew Allen, who I believe probably took more fuel than he needed right there, because him and Noah came into the pit road at the same time. Noah was behind him, actually. So that tells me that Andrew probably put in more fuel, which means he had to wait, you know, longer in the pit box, and that killed his time, whereas Noah took less fuel and got out faster. So those little tiny details, right? Those details about how much fuel you need versus how much you don't need, you know, tires versus no tires, getting into the pit box clean, getting out clean. All those little things mean so much, right? The normal lap time for, you know, getting around the track, that's one thing, but all the minute details can really mean the difference of winning or losing.
Yeah, and for Noah Tansman, I mean, he was in net P5 before. Now he's in net P4, and as you see, I believe we got a spin right on live. That's Isaac Brock. You saw there, just got too wide on the entrance, unfortunately, and then he had to basically tighten the car up. Had to turn the steering wheel too hard for the speed he was going, and that's a textbook spin in the GT3 cars.
Yeah, very easy to do, honestly. And it's nice to see that he can recover and, you know, get out of the way for Devin Lucan, who was right behind him at the time. So 8.9 seconds, 9 seconds now is the gap between Brandon Six and Devin Lucan. So, you know, barring catastrophe here, Brandon Six might be our first overall winner here for the IMSA experience at Daytona. But hey, 10 minutes plus still to go. You never know what can happen. We saw Brandon Six get loose right here, actually, in the Western Horseshoe on the first lap. So a lot can still happen. Devin Lucan, though, looking very, very fast. A lot of these guys really impressive so far. Chris Rabel still fighting for that top spot. Man, this is a good battle, Frankie. Chris Rabel, Vincent Cernuto, I feel like they have, you know, equal speed, but at different points in the stint, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Some cars are good taking off. Some cars are good at the end of the stint. And Rabel, he's like I said before, he's got a fight in his hands because he knows in the back of his mind, if they're ever even going into a corner, he knows that Porsche will outbrake him. Like, he knows that.
Oh, yeah.
So now Chris Rabel does, I believe he does have the straightaway speed over Cernuto, but if Cernuto is close enough, he's not going to be close enough this time, but if Vincent Cernuto is close enough for them to be side by side entering turn one, it's going to get real interesting. Man, look at that Porsche just charging the corner. You could tell right there that Vincent, he's just very much better through the bus stop. That's 2/10 better through the bus stop, and now I think he's close enough, Steve. I think he's close enough.
Yeah, once we saw him pass him already in the draft, and he's getting there. Might not be enough this lap, but if he can hold that gap, he'll have it next time by.
Yeah, he's going to force Chris into a defensive move. Chris not going to get the exit he wants, or at least he thinks he wants. He gets good enough. Now down into Chris Rabel missed the corner a little bit, missed the apex. Vincent, another good run. Can he do something with it?
Whew. That kink, that can get loose, and he can hear the understeer right there, Frankie, in those back tires. Did a good job holding on to it.
Yeah, you could see him working the steering wheel a good bit. It means he's a little loose, but at the end of the day, if you got a guy that can handle it, Vincent Cernuto is handling it really well. He's pretty close now this time as well. 2/10. He's gonna try to get as big of a run as he can. I don't know if he's got it into the bus stop. I think he's gonna try this lap out of the bus stop. I think if he stays close enough, Chris Rabel trying to break the draft a little bit. Oh yeah. I think Vincent's close enough this time. He's closer than he was last lap, and he almost got alongside him. Turn one's going to get real interesting, folks.
Does he make his move now? I think he might. He's close. He's going to pull out to the right here. Still not enough time here. Might cross over. Does not.
But he got a good enough exit to where Chris is going to have to go defensive here. No, he doesn't. He's going to... Oh, we thought about it. Vincent thought about it for a second, throwing it down the inside. Like I said, Chris has a difficult task here. He's got to hold off somebody who he knows is faster than him and can get on the brakes later than him. He's got a tough job ahead of him, but he's doing a good job. He's held them off for close to 10 minutes. It's just whether or not it's just going to all depend on whether Vincent Cernuto gets a good enough run off the corner. If he gets a good enough run and stays close with him, he'll get him.
Exactly.
He's right there. He's close. He's not as close as last time, so I think he's gonna. Again, we already know he's gonna try and make his move into turn one. But either way, as long as he's close enough, he's gonna force Chris Rabel into a defensive move, right? If I was Vincent Cernuto, always sends it into the corner. But man,
Oh,
look,
Chris Rabel!
Oh, Chris Rabel!
Oh no, hard into the wall for Chris Rabel out of the bus stop. Tried sending it a little too hard.
He's got to get it going. Nick Silver's not too far back. Oh, he didn't get it. He didn't get a turn around.
What a heartbreak for Chris Rabel right there, man. He was so close to maybe holding off Vincent, but just couldn't hold on to it. We'll take a look back real fast if we can. Here's from high above. Man.
Yeah, so into the bus stop. Vincent really gets onto the brakes. Oh, you could see the second he hit the inside of the third curb, you could see the rear end just kick out a little bit, and unfortunately when that happens, there's no turning back, there's no saving it. All you could do is just hold the brakes and hope you don't hit the wall.
Right.
And unfortunately for Chris, he did. And the other thing I want to know with these cars is the engine for all these cars are in different places. There are two types of engine placements in these cars. There's front engine and there's rear or mid engine.
Here's the replay from his cockpit.
You could see the second he hopped over that. You could see the second he hopped over that third curb. You could see the hands. You could see him. You could see him turn to the left. And once, unfortunately, if you're turning left, if your steering wheel is to the left on a right-hand corner, that's usually never a good sign. And unfortunately for Chris Rabel, that was not good.
Yeah.
And like I was saying before, these cars, there's two different types of engine placements for the GT cars. There's front engine and there's rear engine. That Mustang is a front engine, so any impact on the front is gonna affect the engine. And he hit that wall pretty big, and that's gonna see Marshall Harris spin coming out of the pits. Something that's also easy to do. So you see Nick Silver. These Mustangs, their engine is in the front of the car, so any front impact can affect the engine. And Chris Rabel, he hit the front of that car pretty hard, and I'd be shocked if that doesn't affect at least his engine a little bit. But it's at the same time for Chris, he's still got to get back in the saddle because he's got a podium finish he still needs to keep. And Noah Tanzman not too far away either, at around 8 seconds back.
Yeah, and this really, split it up right now. 3 minutes left to go in the race. Noah Tansman in P7. He's in front of Andrew Allen by about 5 seconds, and that 5-second gap, Frankie, really was from that pit stop, right? I mean, they were close the entire time, but I believe that fuel, what they took for fuel really was the difference maker, where Noah got out in front. But a P7, P8 for Andrew. Good run so far, in this initial race for Daytona, so not too shabby. Mark Martinek, in P9 has been pretty consistent, looking great. Isaac Brock, couple of spin outs, but hey, the car has no fenders off of it and no damage, so that's a good day for your first race. So everyone else doing pretty good, but Vincent Cernuto, yeah, I mean, got lucky right there. Unfortunately for Chris Rabel, got the short end of the stick, has some pretty big damage, but should still be able to come home top 3 for that podium, like you mentioned. So not a bad day, worst case, but Nick Silver going to be potentially in that P2 spot. As far as the prototypes, Frankie, it's Brandon 6 is long gone. 17 seconds right now, out in front. We should be getting the white flag potentially next lap, next time by. We'll see how that works out. But Devin Lucan, P2, a great outing for him so far. Led a bunch of laps, which is awesome. So definitely has the strength and what it takes. So going to be an interesting time to see how Brandon 6 and Devin Lucan, this whole season really, compete, because I feel like they've got some really fast cars. Eric Papineau not too far back. I think he needs, maybe some setup changes and some maybe, things like that, but he definitely has the pace and has the ability. So looking forward to see how he can do. And then Daniel Half was actually in the race. He was the 4th driver in the prototypes. He actually had a personal issue pop up. So our thoughts are to him. Hopefully everything's good on his side of things. But we'll see him next week for sure at Sebring. So cannot wait for that. Sebring, Frankie, is the track that you and I know very, very well. And I have a lot of fun there. Had a lot of fun back in, what was it, March, where we had that 12-hour race. So can't wait to go back for the IMSA experience and get that going.
Yeah, Sebring's another track that I also know very well, being from Florida. We're a little spoiled down here in Florida. We have Homestead, one of the best NASCAR mile and a halves. We have Sebring, an iconic track, and obviously everybody knows Daytona, another iconic track. We're a little spoiled down here in Florida.
Yes, sir. Right now, Brandon Six going to be taking the white flag. There it is. It's now official. White flag, this time by for the initial 60 minutes here of Daytona for the IMSA experience. Brandon Six has looked pretty good from spinning out in that horseshoe on the first lap to now kind of locking it down. Brandon Six, not normally a prototype kind of guy. I mean, he was doing things with us in the GT3s, but man, he has figured it out, made that setup, and got it to work. GT3, Vincent Cernuto holding it down now, 14 seconds in front of Nick Silver. So Cernuto here, besides an act of God, who will definitely be winning the first race here for the GT3 cars. What an awesome job for him so far, Frankie, to come out, get the pole, and then dominate like this. But really had some, times where he might not have been dominating, but Chris Rabel, great battle so far, great racing, really throughout this race.
Yes, Vincent Cernuto and Chris Rabel put on a show. It's unfortunate Chris Rabel had that spin on the exit of this bus stop, and that was looking to be a great battle. But Vincent Cernuto still deserves credit for that, even though Chris Rabel, it was a mistake on Chris Rabel's part. It was made because Vincent Cernuto was putting the pressure, and the pressure, it was just high. As we're looking at Brandon Six, he's going to win here at Daytona.
There it is. Brandon Six going to be the winner today for the IMSA experience at Daytona. Unbelievable job for him. Devin Lucan going to come now down for P2. Unbelievable job. Vincent Cernuto going to come across the stripe here for the GT3 cars, and he'll be the winner for the GT3 car class. Great stuff for those guys right there. Unbelievable. Brandon Six, the winner. For prototypes, Vincent Cernuto for GT3, going to burn out already right down there in turn one. Nick Silver in P2. Chris Rabel finishing off in third spot right there. Good stuff, Frankie. What a great race to begin this season. Big winners, Brandon Six. You're Frankie Brosa, but Brandon Six, the winner. Vincent Cernuto for GT3. Good stuff, Frankie. What are your thoughts, man? What a good race.
Yeah, we had an awesome time. There was a good bit of strategy going on. We always, especially with these cars, we all love a bit of strategy. That was Vincent Cernuto and Chris Rabel deserve a round of applause. They put on a heck of a battle. And even Devin Lucan, believe he might have drained the battery a little bit. Heard on the radio he messed up. He put the battery on attack for the first stint, or the first part of the second stint, and then when the battery was drained, he had to recharge. So I think Devin Lucan will be up there with Brandon Six at Sebring.
Absolutely. Brandon Six, your winner today for the GT-Ps, the prototypes, and then Vincent Cernuto, the winner of the GT3. Fantastic job, folks. We'll go and step aside real quick, go and thank our sponsors, then we'll come right back and talk to your winners for the classes. Stick around.
Fancy like Husky, fancy like Husky, fancy like Husky, fancy like Doggy bowl empty, Lakers pool sleeping, rug pull, cash grab, NFTs delight, rug pull, cash grab, it idiot.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the conclusion of the 60 minutes at Daytona for the IMSA experience here for ASRA. Man, what a fun time we have had tonight for Daytona, the road course. We're going to talk to your winners today from both classes, the prototypes and the GT3. We're going to bring in your winner now. First, Brandon Six, the winner of the prototypes. Let's bring him on in real quick, talk about his race. Brandon Six, there he is. Hey, familiar name, familiar win. There he is, but a different league right now. So good job, man. P1 on the day, the initial race here for the IMSA experience, man. Pretty good job today. Had some issues there, looked like on the first lap. Little spin out in that Western Horseshoe. But overall, man, great job, dude. How'd it go for you?
Yeah, it was definitely an exciting race. Had fun racing with Devin and Eric. These cars are definitely definitely different to drive than what I'm used to from the Cup car, from the oval side. And there's so many bells and whistles on this car. I'm still kind of learning it. Like there's batteries and traction controls and all kinds of neat features, and still learning it. And on that first lap, I kind of messed up and thought I threw the race away right there and then. And I was saw Devin was going to try and make a move on me there, and I was going to let him go, and I just kind of cooked the corner a little bit and got out in the grass and kind of took it easy to make sure I didn't completely loop the car or wreck it or get into any like tire bearers or anything, damage the car, because these cars are very aero sensitive. So once I got it back on the track, just tried to run as many clean laps as possible and hopefully run down Devin. I'm actually not sure. I was telling Eric there in Discord here that I'm not sure how I managed to get an extra lap or two of fuel over those guys to extend it, which I think helped me during the green flag pit stops.
Yeah, definitely interesting. But man, great job so far, or in the season. Really made it pretty impressive. So good stuff overall, man. Anybody want to thank real quick? Sponsors, friends and family. Who do you got, man?
Yeah, I just gotta thank the team, Do Esports, all the hard work and stuff we do for the leagues, and both on the Cup side and this IMSA side. This is definitely a lot of fun, and hopefully we can get some more guys out here and shake things up and make it a little bit more exciting.
Yes, sir, man. Hey, great stuff today. We'll catch you next week at Sebring. Awesome job.
That's good. Thanks, Steve.
Alrighty, there he is, Brendan Six, the winner today for the overall prototypes. But now we're going to bring in Vincent Cernuto, the winner of the GT3 side of things. Let's bring him in. There he is, Vincent Cernuto, the winner of today's GT3 multi-class race. Man, what a great job today for Daytona. This place has always been pretty classic, and had some battles there, some really good battles actually, with Chris Rabel, Nick Silver a little bit there. And man, what an awesome run for you for your debut. How'd it go for you, man, from the cockpit?
Yeah, that was awesome. I felt like me and Chris had a really good battle going. It's really unfortunate he lost it in the bus stop like that at the end, but man, I felt like he was quicker in some spots, I was quicker in others, and he was doing something on the pit stops because he got me every single time coming out of the pits, and I had to chase him back down. But really unfortunate way to win it. Honestly, that's not how you want to win it, but I mean that was a good time.
Yes, sir, man. Yeah, awesome job to see. Hey, new drivers in the field and all kinds of stuff. So obviously starting off small here, but hey, just respectable racing. We talked about that in the booth, right? I mean, respectable racing. You know, a small crowd necessarily for the first race, but man, you guys put on a show. Good racing, respect on track. Those are foundational things that I feel like we need to have a good series. And so far, I'm very impressed by, you know, guys like you coming in and doing that. So man, awesome stuff today. Big win for you. Anybody you want to thank real quick? Sponsors, friends and family? What do you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Mark. I don't know where he finished, but he shot me the invite like last minute to join the league. I was actually getting ready to do a couple official races, and he hit me up and asked me if I wanted to run this. So shout out to him for. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have been here tonight.
Hey, good stuff, man. Proud to have you here. Can't wait to see what you can do, man, rest of the season. But good win. We'll see you next week. Do it at Sebring. Good stuff, man.
Yep. See you then.
All right, there he is. Vincent Cernuto. Man, what a great job he did today. Last minute addition, but hey, that's totally fine. Bring him on in, as I say. But hey, good stuff overall. Man, again, really impressed by how the day went for everybody here. Really, really impressed though by everything. So really impressive. Everybody, appreciate you all being here for supporting the stream, but also, you know, just being here and watching the races and supporting race day. So a lot of fun, big time today for Daytona. So we're gonna be heading off now. Frankie already taking care of some post-race stuff right there. So awesome to see. But big thanks to you folks for being here and supporting the stream, supporting the IMSA experience. So this thing's going to grow and grow. We're going to bring in more people. It's going to be top of the food chart in our totem pole in no time flat. So appreciate you folks for liking and subscribing. Brandon Six, your winner for the prototypes. Vincent Cernuto, your winner for the GT3. And that'll be it, folks, for race day. So we'll see you next week. Next Tuesday will be the Cup Series here on race day, the ASRE Harpoon Design Cup Series in Kansas. That'll be a lot of fun. And then back here on Wednesday for the IMSA experience, we'll be at Sebring. So that'll be a lot of fun. Typically, this series will be every other week. But for these first 2 weeks, we're going to be back-to-back. So next week, we'll be at Sebring, and that'll be a lot of fun. So we'll see you then, folks. Watch for our socials at Race Day iRacing on X, and also ASRA iRacing on X as well. Watch out for our socials. Get some feedback, and we'll get some stuff out there for everybody. But have a good night, folks. We love you. Have a good night.